This is the first act of the greater will on the lands between, and the ramifications would impact the future of the world. Creatures would come to be defined by those who serve the greater will, and by extension the two fingers, and those which did not. For there are other forces in this world. The frenzied flame, its fires of chaos, and the three fingers who represent it. The formless mother, or mother of truth, who craves the blood of her servants and the wounds of others. The power of the full moon, which many Carian royalty seek to make endless in the starry sky. But these entities operate in secret, subtly, behind the scenes. While the greater will demands obedience of all, Marika is its vessel on this plane. She is the Elden Ring made flesh, and as such creates the rules of reality to suit the greater will's agenda, though first she would need to cement her rule. She needed a warrior to combat the giants currently ruling the land. She needed a partner to give her children. She needed Godfrey, the first Elden Lord.
The age of the Erd Tree began amongst conflict. When Godfrey was lord of the battlefield, he led the war against the giants, faced the storm alone, and then there came a moment when his last worthy enemy fell, and it was then, as the story is told, that the hue of Godfrey's eyes faded.
Though the giants used the power of a fell god, they were defeated. Their eternal flames would always be a threat to the Erd Tree, the symbol of the greater will. Marika cursed the fire giant to tend the flame for eternity, so it could never be used against her. Queen Marika and Lord Godfrey would come to have 3 children, and their line would be known as the Golden Lineage. Godwyn and the twins, Morgott and Mohg, who were born of the graceless Omen, were the first of the royal children. Queen Marika was not satisfied and set her sights further. She had a new enemy, the Carian Queen of the Full Moon and head of the Academy of Raya Lucaria, Rannala. But she also had a new champion.
Lord Radagon was a great champion, possessed of flowing red locks. He came to these lands at the head of a great golden host. When he met Lady Rannala in battle, he soon repented his territorial aggressions there, and became husband to the Carian Queen.
Radagon had won the West, not with bloodshed and war, but by a union of houses. Radagon and Rannala's marriage would similarly bear 3 children. Radahn, who would one day conquer the stars. Rykard, whose research into incantations would include those of unnatural design. And the Lunar princess Ranni, who like her mother was drawn to the sorceries of the moon. With these 2 marriages, the land was united, and all those touched by the greater will's grace would proceed to live happy lives. It's unclear if it was immediately after the war with the giants, or sometime later, but Lord Godfrey's grace was lost, a fate which can befall even an Elden Lord. Godfrey had become tarnished, and was no longer an instrument of the greater will. His purpose was over and he was cast aside. The former Elden Lord rallied the Tarnished of the lands between, and left, leaving only a single boat behind. During this long march of the Tarnished, Godfrey would lead and protect the Tarnished through many battles. When their journey was complete, he rejected his kingship and became a simple warrior. Now with Godfrey gone, Radagon saw an opportunity. The position of Elden Lord was available.
When Godfrey, first Elden Lord, was hounded from the lands between, Radagon left Rannala to return to the Erd Tree capital, becoming Queen Marika's second husband and king consort, taking the title of Second Elden Lord.
While Radagon's children by Rannala now gained the title of demigod stepchildren, his second marriage to Marika resulted in additional royalty. The twins, Miquella and Malenia, both cursed from birth.
One was cursed with eternal childhood, and the other harbored rot within.
One more piece was required to solidify this dynasty forever. Queen Marika would remove the fear of dying from both herself and her demigod children. She would remove the rune of death from the Elden Ring, and Malekith, her stepbrother and shadowbound beast, became the vessel to lock it away. Queen Marika had confined destined death and established the Golden Order, that she and her kin were now eternal. As time passed, it was not without incident. The capital was besieged by ancient dragons, who ruled before even the giants. The great dragon Grandsax assaulted the capital walls. This sparked a war against the dragons, but it is merely a footnote in the history of the lands between. Ultimately, it resulted in the friendship of Godwyn now called Godwyn the Golden, and the ancient dragon Fortisax. Radagon had spent his youth learning gravitational magic and grew to be known as the Red Lion General. Rykard ascended to the role of Praetor. Miquella, Malenia, and Ranni dealt with their unique status as Empyreans, those chosen by the Two Fingers who could succeed Marika in the coming age. Miquella is often pursued by his half-brother Mog, who is particularly drawn to the future of the Empyrean child. But Miquella is more interested in pursuing how to cure his twin from her accursed rot. But they were all deceived.
The mystery endures to this day as to why Lord Radagon would cast Lady Rannala aside, and moreover, why a mere champion would be chosen for the seat of Elden Lord. You know, it's said that Lord Radagon harbored a secret. A famed sculptor of the Erdtree capital was once summoned to render Lord Radagon's likeness in giant stature, when he glimpsed the skeleton in Radagon's closet. And as such, it's said the great statue harbors his secret too.
The sculptor's statue stands in the golden capital Lindell. A message reads, "Regression alone reveals secrets."
Regression is the pull of meaning that all things yearn eternally to converge.
Regression is the pull of meaning, and casting regression on the statue reveals one closely guarded secret. Radagon is Marika. The truth is, the demigod stepchildren are not step-siblings of Godfrey's children at all, but are half-siblings. And the twins Miquella and Malenia have one genetic parent, explaining their unique ailments. Which brings us to Ranni the Witch. The twins gain their Empyrean status from being children of a single god, but Ranni indicates that it's not the only way to be an Empyrean, for hers is bestowed by the Greater Will. It seems each pair of Two Fingers is able to grant the title.
I was once an Empyrean, of the demigods. Only I, Miquella, and Malenia could claim that title. Each of us was chosen by our own Two Fingers, as a candidate to succeed Queen Marika, to become the new god of the coming age.
But the Greater Will is not destiny, and many reject its grand design. There are even those in the royal family who feel this way. Ranni the Lunar Princess is one such person. It's unclear why Ranni did what she did next. Was it simply necessary for her to escape her fate, or did she harbor resentment to the rest of the royal family? Either way, Black Knife assassins moved under the cover of night. They stole Destined Death from Malekith the Black Blade. They bound it to their daggers, and in an event that would become to known as the Night of Black Knives, they slew Godwyn the Golden. But Godwyn yet lives, in a grotesque state of undeath, a body without a soul. And Ranni, who orchestrated this plot, became just the opposite, a soul without a body.
This curse mark was carved at the moment of death of the first demigod, and should have taken the shape of a circle. However, 2 demigods perished at the same time, breaking the curse mark into 2 half wheels. Ranni was the first demigod whose flesh perished, while the Prince of Death perished in soul alone.
Queen Marika was struck with grief and rejected the Greater Will. After all, what grand design would allow her children to die? She shattered the Elden Ring, breaking her very being in the process. But her duality would disagree, as Radagon attempted to repair it and prevent what his other half was doing. This would spark a civil war among the royal family, known as the Shattering. Each sibling commanded armies and runes of great power that they had recovered from the broken Elden Ring. Ranni the Witch's soul lived on, and she continued to lead her small, yet loyal, group of followers from the shadows. General Radagon, now called the Star Scourge, was a great champion and commanded a mighty host. His battle with Malenia on the fields of Caelid is the talk of legend. While her rot had advanced over the years, she was still known as the undefeated swordswoman. Their epic conflict finally ended with both crippled beyond repair. Radagon, infected with Malenia's rot from his insides, devolved into a rabid animal, a shadow of his former glory. While Malenia retreated back to the Haligtree, the new Erdtree her and her twin had attempted to create. But Miquella would not join her there, despite his promise, for he was indisposed, as Mohg, now claiming the title of Lord of Blood, had made his move. Mohg had always coveted his Empyrean half-brother and had desired to raise Miquella to full godhood. Mohg, of course, would take the role of monarch and rule as his consort. But Miquella was disinterested in this plan. Mohg abducted Miquella and used his power to secretly begin to form a new Mohgwyn dynasty in the name of the Formless Mother. Praetor Rykard abandoned the war and sought other ways to gain power. He gained the title Lord of Blasphemy when he fed himself to a giant serpent so that he might devour, grow, and live eternally. If it was to be survival of the fittest, Rykard would ensure that he and his followers were the mightiest of all. But of all the demigod children, only Morgoth stayed true to what he believed was their purpose. He stayed in the royal capital Lindell. He claimed the moniker of the last king, though he also did not have the means to enter the Erd Tree and could not claim the title of Elden Lord for himself. Thick vines had grown around the base of the Erd Tree, and none could enter. Sealed inside, the eternal struggle raged on between Radagon, who still worked to service the greater will, and Marika, who still was tied to her material grief. A whole age has passed. The brutal war resulted in the abandonment of grace from the lands between, and now the Tarnished, cast aside so long ago, have heard the greater will's new calling, cross the fog, return to the lands between, stand before the Elden Ring, and become the Elden Lord. We are one such Tarnished, and this is where our journey begins. Though we may not have a maiden of the two fingers to guide us, we are led by another.
Me? I'm searching for my purpose, given to me by my mother inside the Erd Tree, long ago, for the reason that I yet live, burned and bodiless. I am Melina. I offer you an accord. I can play the role of maiden to aid you in your search for the Elden Ring. You need only take me with you to the foot of the Erd Tree.